Welcome to the second episode of Season 6 of LSMN Overtime. I'm Alex Estrada. We got a shorter episode today due to the ice storms last week, but the show must go on. Let's kick off with some basketball. Loaded rivalry week as Marcus and Flower Mound faced off in men and women's basketball. Beginning with men, teams traded runs at the start. Marcus's shooting was on point early as Ethan Gomez and Moses Lim then both threes. Marcus's star player Luke Susko got going with some quick buckets. Susko's defense was also amazing as he recorded a couple of blocks. Jackson Mesh got the Jags back on early in the third with a 5-point run to tie the game. However, Marcus would get a back-breaking run at the end of the quarter as Moses Lims had the hot hand, knocking down a series of threes which essentially put the game away and for good measure. Susko made an and one towards the end as Marcus won by the final score of 59-48. For other men's basketball games this week, Louisville beat Hebron 57-52. Both teams still might have a shot at the playoffs, but they're at the bottom of the district standings. Colony dropped a heartbreaker to Highland Park 63-60, getting swept by Highland Park this season by a combined total of less than 7 points. But they are cemented in third place and look to once again make a deep playoff run. Speaking of the Colony, let's over to Aiden McGee in the virtual studio for this week's Spotlight.
This week's Spotlight is the Colony's senior guard, Bryce Dixon. Dixon continued his impressive season last Tuesday, scoring half of the Cougars' points versus Reedy in a 61-50 win. Along with 30 points, Dixon also had 9 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 assists. Dixon's great play has been instrumental in the Cougars' 19-9 start this year, as well as currently having a 6-game winning streak. Expect Dixon and the Cougars to be in the headlines many times this year. That's all for Spotlight. If you have one you want us to highlight, tag us on X at LSMN Sports. Back over to Alex at the desk.
Lady Jags hosted the Lady Marauders on Tuesday for a tense rivalry matchup. Jada Ramanan got the scoring started with his tough bucket. Macy Pringle replied instantly with a nice shot of her own. The Lady Marauders had no answer for Pringle all night. She used her long reach to grab rebounds and her amazing shiftiness to score bucket after bucket. She simply could not be stopped, scoring over half of the Lady Jags' points, scoring 28 in total. The third, Marcus got a big rally with long threes from Jada Ramanan and Lauren Smith to cut the lead to 3. Despite the brief rally, Marcus couldn't keep up. The night was punctuated by this brilliant move from Emily Tran as the Lady Jags took home a smooth win by a final score of 50-40. Other games this week for women's basketball. The Colony was wiped out by Highland Park 58-25, but with only 2 games left in the season, they control their own fate for the playoffs, sitting in 5th place currently. Hebron took down Louisville 55-35 and sits in 6th place and looks like they just might miss out on the playoffs. But looking ahead for all of basketball, men and women's, Marcus takes on Little Elm, Louisville faces Geyer, Hebron travels to Denton Braswell, the Colony faces Creekville, and Flower Mound faces off against Coppell at home. But now it's time to head back over to Aiden McGee in our virtual studio for this week's Major League Minute and Grad Star.
It's an exciting time for the world of professional sports right now. The Super Bowl is being played this weekend between the Seahawks and the Patriots. That leads us right into our grad star for this week. Former defensive back for the Colony, Christian Gonzalez. Gonzalez blossomed into a superstar at Oregon, becoming a first-round pick by the New England Patriots in 2023. Last year, Gonzalez was a second-team All-Pro, but this year he really stepped it up. He recorded 69 total tackles, as well as holding opposing receivers to a catch rate of only 53%. If you have a grad star you want us to highlight, tag us on @LSMN Sports on X. Now back to the Super Bowl. The Seahawks are heavily favored with their relentless defense and reliable offense. But don't count out the Patriots, as they always keep it a close game. Kickoff is at 5:30 on Sunday. Now over to the Olympics. The Winter Games ceremonies are tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. Everyone is talking about hockey. Canada is seemingly the heavy favorite with a loaded roster, including Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, and Macklin Celebrini. The Americans will be in contention as well. Despite heavy criticism from fans over the roster selections, they have a very strong team, headlined by Jake Gensel, Quinn Hughes, and the Tkachuk brothers, Matthew and Brady. Also, don't count out Finland, led by the stars Mikko Rantanen and Miro Heiskanen, as well as Sweden, led by Leafs superstar William Nylander. The NASCAR season began with the exhibition Cookout Clash on Wednesday. NASCAR is in for an exciting season as they transition back to the old points format known as the Chase, which values winning and consistency. Look for drivers like Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, and Chase Briscoe to be the big contenders this year. In the world of golf, it's been an exciting start to the season, with number 1 in the world, Scottie Scheffler, dominating the first event, shooting 27 under par and getting the win by 4 strokes. Scheffler took the next event off, however, opening the door for Justin Rose to have a career day at Torrey Pines. Rose shot 23 under par, a new course record, to secure a 7-stroke win. At 45, Rose continues to age like fine wine, and he looks like he'll be a big contender in the PGA Tour this year. That's all for MLM and GradStar. Now back over to Alex at the desk.
If you want to hear more pro sports takes from us here at LSMN, including more Mr. Beals, check out the new LSMN Press Box, the podcast here on the LSMN YouTube channel almost every other week. Now let's take a look at some scores from soccer around the district. First, the girls, Hebron beat Louisville 2-0 to keep their strong 9-3 record going, while Louisville falls to 2-9-3 on the season. The Colony edged out Newman Smith 2-0, bumping the Colony up to a 2-10-1 record. Marcus took out Flower Mound 5-2, giving Flower Mound their second loss in districts and Marcus their 4th district win of the year. For Marcus girls soccer, they celebrated a huge milestone for their very own Maddie Patterson. Patterson recorded her 100th career varsity goal on Tuesday. The senior forward is currently the program's all-time leader in goals and will continue to build on her legacy in her senior season before moving up to Texas Tech next season. This Tuesday night featured an exciting boys soccer game between Louisville and Hebron. The match began when a Hebron handball inside the box gave Louisville a penalty, and senior Jose Vasquez buried the penalty to give the Farmers the lead. Soon after, another foul by a Hebron player in the box led to a second penalty kick, and Damian Carrillo cashed in to make it 2-0. The game heated up when Vasquez would hit a Hebron player with his elbow and was sent off with a red card. Later on, Hebron's Ricardo Villarreal would push a Louisville player out of bounds and receive a yellow card. With Louisville down a man, Hebron attacked, creating several shots, but they couldn't quite find the goal. Later, Villarreal committed another foul with a slide tackle, earning a second yellow card, being ejected from the game. Near the end, Louisville conceded a penalty, and Aiden Vergara scored the 3rd pick of the night to close the gap, but it was too late as Louisville stayed strong and won 2-1. For men's soccer, Marcus beat Flower Mound 5-1, keeping their undefeated 5-0 record in districts intact, while Flower Mound drops to 2-6-2. The Colony beat Newman Smith in a defensive-heavy 1-0 matchup to earn their 2nd win of the season, bumping up their record to 2-8-3. Looking ahead for next week, the Colony takes on Highland Park, Flower Mound travels to Coppell, and Hebron goes to Denton Braswell. Louisville takes on Geyer at home, and Marcus faces off against Little Elm. The UIL has announced the new football and basketball district alignments for the 2026 and 2028 cycle. Hebron, Marcus, Flower Mound, and Louisville remain together in District 5-6A for the next 2 years. They'll continue to face a majority of the Denton ISD schools, and the districts will also add Frisco-Reedy, which is moving up from 5A after making a deep football playoff run last season. It'll be interesting to see how Reedy adjusts to the jump 6A competition. Coppell, which had been grouped with the LASD schools the past 2 realignment cycles, will no longer be a part of the district. Meanwhile, the Colony is moving from District 12-5A to District 3-5A. That means they'll no longer play a schedule dominated by Frisco ISD schools. Instead, they'll now compete against Argyle, Colleyville, Heritage, Eagle Mountain, Grapevine, Lucas, Lovejoy, and the Nevada community. But that's all for this week's episode. We'll be back to normal for our next episode on the 19th, but until then, I'm Alex Estrada. See you next time right here on Overtime.